And good morning, good morning, good morning. You've been watching some of the pictures I've picked off of Facebook, Twitter, and some that people have sent me in the mail here. So good morning, this is Randy, K7AGE, getting ready for another live SSTV pass here. Let's see where the space station is. And it's east of China, I guess, and it'll be coming over here. And look at my prediction sheet here. Looks like it will come over at 8:57, so we got a few minutes here. I see we have 28 people. And so let's look at what I've received overnight. I got to go to Maine, I guess, to look at that. So here's the history. So I can double click on these, and that was a kind of a noisy one. That one looks perfect. Picture 5 of 12. There's 12 pictures in the sequence that they're sending out. There's another one, a couple noise bars. It looks like it started just a little bit late. That one's pretty good. A little bit of noise right through there. So, yeah, again, I just leave the radio run all night, and I leave the whole computer system run all night with everything open here, including ISS SSTV, to can capture all these images here. So, we're up to 30 people. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, John. Have really been enjoying the event. Thank you, in the live stream. I've not been able to get brilliant images. Well, most of them aren't, so you just got to keep trying. I just need images 10, 11, and 12 to complete the full set. Great. Hi, man, you're so cool. Thank you. I'm just playing around here on my stream. So what's happening here, if you're new to this, is that several times during the year, the Aries group, the amateur radio for the ISS group, sponsors these SSTV events coming from the International Space Station. Now, SSTV has nothing to do with TV. There's no motion involved. There's no video. It's just stills. They send out still pictures. And slow scan television was developed back in the late 50s. And back then you had tube type equipment, and used to use an old long persistent CRT to take and paint the image. And back then the scans were 8 seconds, and by the time the scan got to the bottom of the picture, the top had faded out. So some people would put a Polaroid camera in front of it and do a time exposure and get the whole image here. Excuse me for a second. Or they can record it on a reel-to-reel or an audio cassette recorder later on. And now we have free software like SSTV. So, and now we do color and longer pictures. So that's what slow scan TV is. The International Space Station. I got my Orbitron here for the tracking. You can see where it's moving over the top of the Pacific Ocean there. It'll be a few more minutes before it gets to me. The circle here is the footprint of the space station. So any stations within the footprint should be able to hear the space station. And I can go to a long track. So here's where it will go on the next track. So for us here in the United States, it kind of passes through the night and through the morning, and then on to the next day. So, yeah, what else here? There's lots of SSTV modes. You see here on the SSTV, lots of them. Typically, you can just leave this in the auto. Is at the beginning of the image. There's a header that gets transmitted that gives an ID of the image type, and then it will automatically select. They use PD 120 for these events. And if you want to assign that to one of these buttons, you can just right click on it and it opens up and you see a whole list. So you could assign PD 120 to one of those buttons. And that's kind of nice. If it missed the start, you could push that and then it would start decoding in that format. Let me take a look at some of the Hola Carlos and Domini, Calo Radio. Good morning, Randy. Thanks for providing this. Yeah, I think we've got a lot of people who are receiving the ISS for the first time, or maybe making improvements by what we see here. What I'm telling you, I have a good video out a few days ago, I guess about a week ago at this point, where I describe how to use Heavens Above to do tracking. You can put in your position easily, a zip code or a city location, and then you can do a 10-day prediction. It kind of defaults that it will only show you passes above 10 degrees above the horizon. If you got a high gain antenna, you can probably receive the signal below that 10 degrees. It depends what your view is towards the horizon, if you're blocked by buildings and other things. So, you best YouTuber, thank you. See, Last Pass was my best picture from Skeeter. Good morning, K7TRD. Good. Max, KF7FEE. I'm looking on the fine print. Looks like this will be the best pass yet over Oregon, hoping for some really clear pictures. Yeah, the elevation will be, it maxes out here at 54 degrees. That's a good pass. And how long is it? Let's see here, 57. It's about 9 minutes. Now the picture takes 2 minutes to transmit, and then they pause for 2 minutes. So it's 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off. So if you think you should be hearing it and you're not, just hang on there. Maybe they haven't started transmitting yet. Good evening, late night in Kobe. Now 1 a.m. Wow, 48 in Kobe. Nice to meet you. Call sign is JI3UVB. Very good. It's 37 here in Oregon. I'm located in Go Beach, about 40 miles up from the California border, right on the Pacific Ocean. I'm 1 mile from the ocean and up at 1,100 feet. So I have a really good view to the west. What I'm using here this morning is my ICOM IC9700. And I have this connected to the computer using a USB cable, which allows me to use the sound card features within the radio and also for control, though I'm not using any control for this. Some satellite tracking programs can control the radio and correct for Doppler, but it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem for all of this. My antenna is on top of my, it's about 50 feet up in the air. This was yesterday after we had a little bit of snow. And the sun came out, so it was a brilliant morning. And the antenna I have is a Comet GP15. This is a 6 meter, 2 meter, 70 centimeter antenna. So that has a very narrow pattern. A lot of energy, a lot of aiming towards the horizon. But it does seem to work okay as things get further up. And of course, as the base station gets closer, the signal gets stronger. Other antennas, like a quarter wave ground plane, has a real wide, broad vertical pattern. And most of these space station passes will be somewhere between 15 to 30 degrees. Very few are straight overhead. I had one yesterday, it was like 88.9 or something. It was boom, straight overhead. And when it's right overhead, that's the null in the antenna pattern. So you can also receive it if you take your HT. And the frequency is 145.800. You will be able to hear it with just your rubber ducky. You don't want to point it at the space station. You want to have it more broadside, but you can move it around and hear the signal go up and down. If you have one of those longer antennas, even better. Your mobile radio will work fine with the mobile antenna on the car. Let's go back here to the main screen, see what's happening. 46 people. Good morning from Santa Cruz. Good morning. Wow, super antenna, man. Thank you. But I'm using antennas that dipoles can move. Very good. Yeah, use whatever antenna you have, and you can always improve. But a quarter wave ground plane will get you going. That's about the simplest. You get an SO239 chassis connector, and you solder on 5 19-inch wires, like number 12, number 14, solid, and put that outside, and it'll work. So we're getting close here. I'm going to open this squelch in the radio on the right frequency. SSTV is ready to go. Good morning, Dan from Eugene, W7DOK. Just inland from me on the I-5 corridor. You got snow over there? We have a couple inches out here from yesterday. It's warming up. It's 37 now. Okay. Here's the elevation. It's at a half a degree. You can use an RTL-S SDR dongle. Those work fine. If you may need to have like a virtual audio cable to feed the output of that program to the input of SSTV. Here we go. There we go. Noisy Pictures, number 3 of 12. And it'll start again in 2 minutes. So it'll be just before 2 after. And we've got some more of the chats here. What if I'm using SDR on my Android and by using SDR Touch app on my tablet? I'm not an Android person, but what you can also do is, let me run this video here. You'll see some examples of this where people use acoustic coupling. So they take the decoding program that's on the on their phone and hold it up to the speaker on their radio, or maybe record it on their phone and then play it back later. Maybe play it back on the phone and you have the software on their tablet or whatever. Virgil, here's your pictures from yesterday. You that you sent me. So if you beginner at this and had good luck. We got Norway, we got Netherlands. Thank you guys for checking in. Astrospy, this is the type of radio I want to get into. Home space operations, yeah. It's they've been doing this for a number of years, and the amateurs have, I don't know how many satellites up there, and you can communicate through an awful lot of them. I don't do that. So here's an example of somebody with their IC 705 and a couple Android phones just pointing it at the radio and to receive the images. So you can do that as well. So what are we at here in time? Looks like it's about another minute to go. And wow, cool. Here it is. Good. That's another good image there. Let's take a closer. You can click on this magnifying glass, and where is it? It's not opening up. Is it behind something here? Well, that's weird. Oh, I keep clicking over on the OBS screen, and you can zoom this out. So, yeah, that's what we got. We got picture 4 of 12 now. See, I saw somebody talking about their 5/8 antenna, how to mount it. I would just leave it vertical. If you leave it horizontal, I would leave it vertical. It doesn't have a real narrow pattern, and I would leave it vertical, get it in the clear, higher the better, just like anything else. And since most of the passes are below 60 degrees, you'll probably be able to do that. The antenna I'm using now the pattern is more narrow than a 5/8 ground plane antenna. And see what else here. We got Rome, we got Utah. There you go with the 5/8. Bill. Yeah, we record signal on a D74 and a BCD 435 scanner from a common antenna for later processing. Yeah, if you're new to this, you can really do a lot of fiddling around with the decoding software. And if you try and do that during the pass, you may be out of luck. So if you record it, you can play with the decoding software several times in order to get it right. The reason I was not talking during the pass is that I got a message from somebody, I forget where it was now, that their software actually picked it up from the stream here. Here we go. A little noisier this time. It's at 9 degrees. So on SSTV, up here's the spectrum, and the 1200 mark here is where they sync. You hear that constant pulsing, so that's the information at the sync, because it's pretty noisy here now. And the image tones are between 1500 and 2300. SSTV was made to work through a single sideband transmitter and receiver's bandwidth. It doesn't require wide bandwidth. It's just audio. So it may help to have the filter on your radio, if you can select it, to go wider, because there is some Doppler shift. So as the satellite or the space station is approaching you, it appears to be higher in frequency, or it is higher in frequency. When it's overhead, it's on frequency, and as it leaves you, it then goes lower in frequency. But I'm not doing any Doppler compensation here at all. Receiving it in Tucson. Yeah, you should be receiving it better than I am here. Have to get the height by to rent space on a local tower. Yeah, good luck. And I don't understand the really. It's at 1 degree. So that's it. That's it for this morning's pass. So I started off with this image here. This changed to history when I double-clicked on the history picture here. That's a noisy one. That was my best pass. And then we got another noisy one. In the history thumbnails here, you can right-click on an image, and you can delete them if you have a real noisy one, and you can save it to a file. Either you give it a name, or it'll save it with a timestamp. And in Poland, okay, you gotta wait your time. Yeah, if you go to, let me see, do I have it here? Yeah, let me drag it off the other computer and get it over here. This is Heavens Above. This is what I recommend for your tracking, and this shows where the position is, but this is not a real-time tracking, so you have to hit the refresh button, and now it shows it down over here, and it should, it should match. Thank you, Windows, for auto sizing. No pain. Okay, so it shows it down over Texas-Mexico border, so I believe Orbit Track is working right. You can go in here and easily change your location. I don't need that. And you can do it by a map. You click around. What I do is just go down here, and I can just put in my zip code 97444. Search. It says Curry County, Oregon. I live down over here more, but it's good enough for what we're doing here. Do update. And then you can go into satellites. You got this group here of 10-day predictions for satellites of special interest. You can then select the ISS. If it defaults to visible only, so if you want to go outside and look for it, these are the times, but we're interested in all the passes, so it brings it up. And so we just did this pass here, the 858. This defaults to only for the start and end times when it's at the 10 degree above the horizon. So yeah, you can see I could copy it down to 3 to 5 at times. So those passes, it'll either not show or it'll show it starting later. Anyway, so you can go through here and get the predictions for your location to know when it's coming over. Thanks, Dan. It was really great. Yeah. I'm now on open web receiver waiting for signal. Yeah, you can go like to web SDR and find different receivers around the world and tune it into 145/800 and then get the audio from your web page going into your decoder program. So again, a virtual audio cable program is probably what you'll need. I've never played one of those, but that's what's used. And yeah, you could grab stations around the world and be able to receive it. I'm going to stretch this out. Okay, so I've only used about half. I think it holds up to 64 pictures. I'm not sure. I should start saving these before I lose them. Well, that was a cool image on my HT in France on 20 meter FT8. Okay, yeah, FT8. Play a lot with that. In fact, I play around with the FT8 off. It's a Sprint that the temporary dude, I forget, haven't drawn a blank, but on Thursday afternoons at about 4:45 Pacific time, they start it. It's a 1 hour. Do some searching for FT8 off. They have a live scoreboard, which is fun, and they do a YouTube commentary of what's happening. Can you clean a little bit with SSTV? I don't know. I've never tried to clean or touch up a image. Temporarily offline Thursdays. There you go. Thank you, Max. Yes, we kill it. QRP in Japan. W1BUS. Good morning. How can I do Open SDR? Because I'm using STR. Yeah, if you're using, I believe, I'm not familiar with these, but Open Web Receiver, I think that's one through the internet. But if you have a dongle, then SDR Sharp is a real common program. And you go to SDR-STL.com, I think it is. It's all things to do with those, to do with those dongles. Let's see how many people we have here left. Still got 41. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Yeah, I generally win the FT8 off because I can sit here on the West Coast, point my beam towards Japan, and work JAs left and right. They count for 3 points apiece. But there's a fellow, I forget his call sign now, he's down in the Caribbean. He can sit there and work people in the United States, and that's DX for him. And he can just do that. Yeah, SDR Sharp can be a little hard to get running sometimes. We run a batch file. That's about all I can help with. There's probably some good videos out there to help step you through that. So, when's the next pass here? It's at 10:34, so I'll probably come on again at about 10:20 Pacific time, 18:20 UTC, and that pass will be a 19-degree pass. So, yeah, you get +1 if you run QRP on the FT8 off. Oh, how do you set your call sign? That is your location. Let me bring that up. My video about receiving SSTV from the ISS, I cover a lot of this, but I'll go through it here quickly. This is why I recommend the heavens above. That gets you going. This is a little more things to configure here. So in the location here, I put in my station name. You can put in your grid locator here. Mine is TN72TI, and you can add it to the list, and that'll set set your location. Other things you need to check on is your 2-line elements. So I got to go over here again. So I had clicked on the setup tool here, 2-line updater, and there's different places you can go. Some of these you require a password, and you may have to go and set that up. I probably did that 15 years ago, so I don't remember it now. And then you press the little world icon here, and it'll go through and it'll download the elements, update, hit OK, apply, and OK. And when I was streaming a couple days ago, my elements were a few days old, and it positioned it behind where it was. So I was hearing it before I should have, or before I thought I should have. So, yeah, it takes a little bit of fooling to get a tracking program to run. And when you get it running and you think it's right, this is where to go here. Mouse across 3 screens here. Did I lose my heavens above? This is where I compare it in heavens above to where the ISS is. Make sure you refresh, and if the two appear to be right, then you've got your tracking setting right. If you have your time wrong and stuff, it'll put it in the wrong spot. So I don't recommend starting with that for your first tracking. Move all but the current pass. Okay. You go to satellites, and I have the amateur. You go to load, and these are the 2-line elements that it's downloaded. Okay, so these are, I've gone to load the TLE. It brought this up, so I have the amateur group loaded. And if you go to satellites here, it gives you all the satellites that are in the amateur, and you see I only have the ISS selected. And I leave it set for data during the pass so I can see the elevation. Yeah, you can go straight to NASA. They should know where the space station is. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll come back here in a little while. Yeah, you want to track more? We just have to find them in the list, or maybe load a different element set. So there's education, Galileo. There's thousands. You can bring up the, the GPS. Sometimes I may be able to find an element set for them. For SpaceX's Starlink, then you'll see see lots of satellites. Okay, see you later, 73. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back a little bit later. Thanks for watching.